The young Navy SEALs burst into laughter when they saw the old veteran's wooden shotgun at the shooting range. Technology passed you by, old man. That antique belongs in a museum. But when his consecutive clay pigeon streak hit 247 without a single miss, the Admiral stopped his helicopter and rushed to the range to witness history. Lieutenant Jake Harrison, 26 years old and fresh from SEAL Team 3, considered himself the best marksman at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado. His custom Benelli Super Black Eagle III, equipped with the latest tactical modifications and electronic sighting systems, had helped him set multiple base records in combat shotgun training. He looked down on anyone who didn't embrace cutting-edge military technology. The Wednesday morning training session was supposed to be routine when 71-year-old Robert Gunny Martinez walked onto the skeet shooting range, carrying what appeared to be a relic from another era. The shotgun was a well-worn Remington 870 with a wooden stock, basic iron sights, and no tactical modifications whatsoever. Gunny moved slowly but deliberately, his weathered hands handling the old shotgun with the familiarity of decades. He wore simple civilian clothes, jeans, a plain button-down shirt, and a faded baseball cap that gave no indication of his military background. "Look what the cat dragged in," Harrison whispered to his teammate, Petty Officer First Class Mike Chen. "Somebody's grandfather wants to play with the big boys." But what he didn't know yet: the shooting range at Coronado was one of the most advanced training facilities in the military, equipped with automated clay pigeon launchers that could simulate virtually any combat scenario. The SEALs used it primarily for close-quarters combat training, but today's exercise was focused on moving target acquisition, a skill that separated elite operators from regular infantry. Harrison and his team had been running drills all morning with their state-of-the-art weapons, achieving respectable but not exceptional scores. The best performance had been Harrison's 23 consecutive hits before missing a particularly challenging angled shot. When Gunny approached the rangemaster to request permission to use the facility, several SEALs stopped their training to watch what they expected to be an embarrassing display of outdated marksmanship. "Sir, this is a military training facility," the rangemaster, Chief Petty Officer Williams, explained politely. "Do you have authorization to be here?" Gunny reached into his shirt pocket and produced a worn military ID card. Williams examined it briefly, his expression changing as he read the credentials. "Yes, sir, Mr. Martinez. You're cleared for the range. Will you need any equipment or ammunition?" "No, thank you, Chief. I brought my own." That's when everything changed. Harrison walked over to get a closer look at Gunny's shotgun, his expression a mixture of amusement and disbelief. "Is that thing even legal to use on a military range?" Harrison asked loudly enough for his teammates to hear. "It looks like something my great-grandfather might have used in World War II." Gunny looked up at the young SEAL with patient eyes. "She's been with me for 48 years, son. Still shoots straight." 48 years? Chen laughed as he joined the conversation. "Technology passed you by, old man. That antique belongs in a museum, not on an active training range." Petty Officer Second Class Rodriguez, the third member of Harrison's team, pointed at Gunny's basic iron sights. "How do you even aim that thing? No optics, no laser sight, no tactical modifications. It's practically a musket." The other SEALs gathered around, drawn by the spectacle of an elderly civilian with equipment that looked decades out of date. "Tell you what, Pops," Harrison said with the confidence of youth. "Why don't you watch how real operators handle moving targets? Then maybe stick to the stationary practice range." Gunny simply nodded and stepped back to observe as Harrison's team demonstrated their skills with the automated clay pigeon system. The biggest shock was still coming. Harrison took position at the firing line with his customized Benelli, its electronic sight glowing softly in the morning sun. The automated launcher began sending clay pigeons across the range at various angles and speeds. "Pull!" Harrison called out, and the first clay launched. Bang! Direct hit. Pull! Bang! Another hit. Harrison was in his element, his expensive shotgun performing flawlessly as he systematically destroyed clay after clay. His teammates cheered with each successful shot, and several other SEALs had stopped their training to watch the demonstration. At 15 consecutive hits, Harrison was approaching his personal best. At 20 hits, he was in record territory for the morning session. At 25 hits, he finally missed a clay that angled sharply to the left at maximum distance. 25 straight, Chen shouted. That's got to be close to the base record. Harrison grinned as he lowered his weapon. Not bad for a morning warm-up, he said, looking directly at Gunny. Think you can beat that with your museum piece? Gunny stepped forward quietly. I'd like to try, if you don't mind. The laughter from the assembled SEALs was immediate and loud. This should be entertaining, Rodriguez muttered to his teammates. But wait, there's more. Gunny took position at the firing line, his old Remington looking almost primitive compared to the high-tech weapons the SEALs carried. He didn't have any electronic aids, no tactical gear, just basic shooting fundamentals learned decades ago and refined through years of practice. You sure about this, sir? Chief Williams asked quietly. These boys are pretty good, and the equipment they're using is state-of-the-art. I understand, Chief. Just want to see if I still remember how. Williams shrugged and activated the clay pigeon system. Ready when you are, sir. Gunny raised his shotgun in one fluid motion, his form absolutely perfect despite his age. Pull! The first clay launched at a standard angle. Bang! Immediate hit. Pull! Bang! Second hit. The SEALs watched with mild interest, expecting the old man to miss within the first few shots. Pull! Bang! Third hit. Pull! Bang! Fourth hit. By the 10th consecutive hit, the casual conversation among the SEALs had stopped. By the 15th hit, they were paying serious attention. By the 20th hit, they were completely silent, watching a demonstration of marksmanship that exceeded anything they had seen. What happened next surprised everyone. Gunny continued his methodical destruction of clay pigeons with machine-like precision. His old shotgun, dismissed as an antique by the young SEALs, was performing flawlessly in hands that had mastered it decades ago. Pull! Bang! 25th hit, tying Harrison's morning record. Pull! Bang! 26th hit, breaking it. Harrison felt his confidence evaporating as he watched the elderly man with the museum piece systematically outperform his expensive high-tech equipment. Pull! Bang! 30th hit. Chief Williams was now calling out the count, his voice carrying across the range and drawing attention from other training areas. Pull! Bang! 40th hit. By the 50th consecutive hit, word had spread throughout the base. SEALs from other units were arriving to witness what was becoming a legendary shooting display. Pull! Bang! 60th hit. Harrison looked at his teammates, their earlier mockery replaced by growing amazement and concern. This wasn't just good shooting. This was approaching the realm of the impossible. If incredible displays of skill, dedication, and the timeless art of marksmanship inspire you, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We share these powerful reminders that experience and expertise can't be replaced by technology. And that true mastery comes from years of dedication and practice. Hit that subscribe button to witness more amazing stories of veterans whose skills transcend generations. The real surprise was, at 100 consecutive hits, the automated clay pigeon system began running low on targets. Chief Williams had to call for additional ammunition and clay pigeons to be brought to the range. Pull! Bang! 110th hit. By now, the crowd watching Gunny's performance included not just SEALs, but Marines, sailors, and base personnel from across Coronado. Someone had started live streaming the event, and military social media was beginning to buzz with videos of the old man with the ancient shotgun. Pull! Bang! 150th hit. Admiral Patricia Santos, commanding officer of Naval Special Warfare Command, received a call in her office about the extraordinary event taking place at the shooting range. Admiral, you need to see this, her aide reported urgently. We have a civilian on the range who's just broken every shooting record we have on file. Admiral Santos, a veteran herself who had served in multiple combat zones, understood that exceptional marksmanship was rare even among elite operators. Pull, bang, 200th hit. The Admiral immediately headed for the range, arriving to find hundreds of personnel gathered around a single shooter who was systematically destroying clay pigeons with mechanical precision. Pull, bang, 220th hit. That's when the phone rang. Admiral Santos's phone buzzed with a call from the Pentagon. Word of the unprecedented shooting display had reached the highest levels of military command. Admiral Santos, this is General Morrison from the Joint Chiefs. We're getting reports of a shooting demonstration at your facility that's breaking multiple records. What's the situation? Admiral Santos watched as Gunny lined up for his 225th shot. Sir, we have a civilian marksman who's currently at 224 consecutive hits on moving targets with what appears to be a standard hunting shotgun. There was silence on the other end of the line. Did you say 224 consecutive hits? Yes, sir. And he's still shooting. Pull, bang, 225th hit. Admiral, I want you to personally verify this performance. If it's legitimate, we may be witnessing the greatest marksmanship display in modern military history. Everyone learned the truth, but the real shock. Admiral Santos approached Chief Williams, who was maintaining the official count and recording the event. Chief, what's the background on this shooter? Williams consulted his log. Robert Martinez, sir. Retired Marine. His ID shows he served from 1970 to 1998. 28 years of service, Admiral Santos noted. What was his specialty? Before Williams could answer, Master Sergeant Patricia Rodriguez from the Marine Corps Liaison Office approached with a file she had hastily retrieved from the archives. Admiral, you need to see this, Rodriguez said, handing over the file. Robert Martinez, Gunnery Sergeant, Force Reconnaissance, 3 tours in Vietnam, 2 in Grenada, 3 in the Persian Gulf. He was a weapons instructor at Quantico for 12 years. Admiral Santos read the file with growing amazement. It says here he held the Marine Corps record for consecutive hits on moving targets from 1985 to 1995. Pull, bang, 240th hit. What was his record? Admiral Santos asked. Rodriguez consulted the file. 246 consecutive hits, sir. Admiral Santos looked at the count board, which now showed 240 hits. He's approaching his own record from 30 years ago. Pull, bang, 241st hit. The crowd had grown silent, understanding that they were witnessing not just exceptional marksmanship, but a veteran attempting to reclaim a record he had set decades ago with the same shotgun he was using today. Pull! Bang! 242nd hit. Harrison and his teammates stood in stunned silence, their earlier mockery replaced by profound respect and embarrassment. Pull! Bang! 243rd hit. Pull! Bang! 244th hit. Pull! Bang! 245th hit. Admiral Santos held her breath as Gunny prepared for shot number 246, which would tie his own record from 3 decades ago. Pull! Bang! 246th hit. The crowd erupted in cheers, but Gunny wasn't finished. He reloaded calmly and took position for shot number 247. But the final shock was still coming. Pull! Bang! 247th hit. Gunny Martinez had just broken his own record, set 30 years ago when he was in his prime, using the same shotgun that the young SEALs had dismissed as an antique. The cheers from the crowd were deafening. Admiral Santos approached Gunny as he finally lowered his weapon after 247 consecutive hits without a single miss. "Gunnery Sergeant Martinez," Admiral Santos said formally, "that was the most extraordinary display of marksmanship I have ever witnessed." Gunny looked uncomfortable with the attention. "Thank you, Admiral. Just wanted to see if I still remembered how." Lieutenant Harrison approached hesitantly, his earlier arrogance completely gone. "Sir, I owe you an apology. What I said about your equipment, about technology, I was completely wrong." Gunny looked at the young SEAL with understanding eyes. "Son, technology is a tool. It can make good shooters better, but it can't replace the fundamentals. I've been shooting this gun for 48 years. We know each other." Chief Williams stepped forward with the official range records. "Sir, your 247 consecutive hits is not just a base record. It's a new military record for consecutive hits on moving targets with a shotgun." The transformation that followed would become legendary at Coronado. Word of Gunny Martinez's shooting demonstration spread throughout the military community within hours. Videos of the event were shared across every branch of service, becoming a reminder that skill and experience could still triumph over youth and technology. Admiral Santos immediately invited Gunny to become a civilian marksmanship instructor at Coronado, an offer he accepted with the condition that he could continue using his museum-piece shotgun. Lieutenant Harrison and his team requested personal instruction from Gunny, leading to a complete overhaul of their shooting fundamentals and a new appreciation for traditional marksmanship skills. The automated clay pigeon system was temporarily shut down after Gunny's session, not for maintenance, but because they had used nearly 2 days' worth of clay pigeons in a single morning. Most importantly, Gunny's demonstration became a mandatory case study at every military marksmanship school, teaching young soldiers that equipment was only as good as the person using it. The old Remington 870 that had been mocked as an antique was placed on display in the Coronado Armory with a plaque reading, "Gunnery Sergeant Robert Martinez, 247 consecutive hits, proving that mastery transcends technology." Harrison kept a photo on his desk from that day, showing Gunny in mid-shot with his outdated shotgun. It served as a daily reminder that humility was as important as skill, and that the most dangerous weapon was often the one you least expected. The Pentagon formally recognized Gunny's achievement, but he declined a ceremony, saying that the real reward was helping young soldiers understand that true marksmanship was about fundamentals, not equipment. Years later, when Harrison became an instructor himself, he would tell new SEAL trainees about the day an elderly veteran with a wooden shotgun had taught them that technology could enhance ability, but it could never replace mastery. The range at Coronado was renamed the Martinez Marksmanship Range, and every class that trained there learned about the man who had proved that experience, dedication, and respect for the fundamentals could still achieve the impossible. Gunny continued to visit the range regularly, not to set more records, but to teach young operators that the most advanced weapon system was useless without the knowledge, skill, and discipline to use it properly. And every time a young soldier started to rely too heavily on technology, instead of developing their basic skills, instructors would point to Gunny's old shotgun and remind them that 247 consecutive hits had been achieved with iron sights, wooden stock, and 48 years of dedicated practice. Sometimes the most important lessons come from being completely wrong about someone, and sometimes the most advanced technology can't compete with a lifetime of dedication to perfection.